Hey everyone, welcome to my final video of 2016. Can't believe that today is New Year's Eve. Tomorrow's going to be 2017. But it seems like the time between Christmas and New Year's Eve always goes really quickly because you're on break and nothing's really expected of you. I'm sure some people work, but it seems like the time just goes by really fast. I mean, I've been streaming a little bit, so that kind of makes it go by quickly as well. But thank you to everyone that watched any amount of videos over the course of 2016 for me, and I think we posted a total of like at least 365, because I definitely averaged at least one video per day, maybe more because there were some days where I posted more, but I'm sure it's around that. I don't think it's closer to 400, but it's definitely around like 350 to 400 videos this year, so that's pretty good. We'll aim for the same in 2017, but this video is going to be looking at the critical system for Wizard101 because a little bit's changed. I mean, it's the same system, but it's just kind of changed a little bit with the new world. We can really see like the differences in the critical system, and I haven't really talked about this since Polaris because that's when they really changed the system. So nothing's changed, but it's just something that's been around for a while, and I wanted to address it in this video. And people have been calling it critical decay. Basically, it means that your critical is going to go down as you level up. So if you have the same exact amount of crit at 110, you're going to have a less amount of crit if you keep the same exact amount at 120. And that's just how it goes. Basically, at level 60, which is one of the earlier levels that you even get crit, you will need a much less critical rating in order to get a higher percentage. Because that's where the critical starts. That's where the system starts at like 50 or 60, something like that. And you'll notice that at lower amounts of critical rating, you're going to have a higher percentage than someone who's higher level. But that just makes sense because at level 60, you're not going to have as much crit as someone who's level 100 or 110. So the system tries to balance that out so that you can still have crit at lower levels, but also have the potential to have crit at higher levels because gear just gives more critical rating. But now we're at a weird position in Wizard101 where we have a new world and the critical decay system is in full effect, but now we have no gear that really balances that out. So everyone that had the same crit at 110 most likely has the same crit now at 120. I'm not 120 yet, I'm 117, but we can still see the effects of the system in the 7 levels that I progressed through Mirage on the live stream. So we're going to look at critical here. 793. This rating is still 100%. I'm sure it'll still be 100% at level 120, but that's something that I'll maybe follow up on just to see in 3 levels. But I don't think it's going to change too much in 3 levels. But to get 100% critical rating, you need about 750, I think, at level 110. So somewhere around there. If I were to take off my, I think, amulet right now, let's just look. So now I'm down to 763. That's 96. So just that 30 critical rating is 4% at level 117. It's probably less. It'll probably be a lesser percentage once I hit level 120. And basically right now at level 117 to get 100%, it's probably like 770 critical rating. So you can just see the difference in critical rating that's required in order to get 100%. I'm not sure at level 120 what it's going to be. It's probably going to be a little over 770. I don't think it's going to be 780. But the thing that's concerning for me about that is to get the 100% critical rating, which is what I go for on my storm because all I care about is critting every time. 100% crit rating just means that you're going to crit every single time you cast a spell with the storm spell. That's all it means. The rating does matter. People used to ask me, why do you have higher crit rating than 100%? Like, why do you go for over 100%? And that's just because the higher crit rating you have, the higher chance you're going to have to crit through. That's all it means. So you can have over 100%. 100% means you crit every time. Over 100% means you have a higher chance of critting through. So the thing that's concerning is as we get higher levels in Wizard, this critical rating is going to have less of a chance to get to, like, it's going to be harder to get to 100%. So basically means you're going to have less of a chance to crit through with like over 100% crit rating. So that's where it comes in that we need new Mirage gear. We need new critical gear. The gear that we've had in Chrysalis, which is the 96 gear, we need an upgrade from this. We need the 116 crafted gear. I'm also using the boots from the rat. These are the best critical boots. 113 crit. Those are 110 boots. And then there's not really a crit robe. I mean, this is still probably the best baseline stat robe for storms in the game. The Rattlebones robe is not as good. It's just straight worse. So this is still the best one, and it's Darkmoor gear. It's level 100. I'm sure a lot of people still use Darkmoor gear. There is Old Cob gear, but I don't think it really gives critical. I think it gives the I think it just gives like damage. So probably could get storm damage from a piece of Old Cob gear, but I'll be farming that once we hit 120. The thing that I really wanted to point out though with this critical decay system is the difference between crit, my same exact crit at 110 compared to now. So in the screenshot you can see that at level 110 I had 44% chance to crit with that crit rating. The same exact crit rating, 480, at level 117 is going to be 38%. So that's a 6% drop just because I leveled up 7 times. And this will probably just go down as I get to 120. Maybe it'll drop to like 36%, something like that. But you can see that the same exact crit at higher levels is going to just straight up give you a lower critical rating. And the only way to combat this is for us to just get gear that's going to give us more critical. That's all it takes. And the weird thing about that is in Mirage we don't have that kind of critical gear yet. We don't have the gear that offsets this like difference in critical. So people that say that 110 wizards have better stats than 120, I don't really agree with that. I mean, yeah, maybe they have better critical chance just because of the decay at those levels, but that's just how the entire game works. The entire game is going to have that kind of decay system in place so that it's harder to get critical at higher levels. But once Mirage releases gear that will give us higher crit, once they release gear that's going to be more like crafted gear that gives us more critical, then it'll offset that and people won't say that anymore. But at 120, probably the only benefits right now is you get the new spell, you have higher health, and the gear, I'm not really sure what the Old Cob gear gives. I think mostly it's damage. You can also get the crafted ones, which I don't have yet, but once you get that, you'll be able to have higher damage. I think what people are doing right now at 120 is trying to go for a lot higher damage than critical. They're statting into damage rather than critical in order to kind of combat this critical decay system, because there's no reason to go full crit if other people are just going to be able to, at 110, are possibly going to have higher crit than you anyway. Now, the same does apply to block, because I have another screenshot of my block, and it was 435 at level 110, and now, let's look at the same gear set. So, using the same gear set, 435, now it's at 57. So that's a drop of 8% with block. So everything just goes down. It's not just a critical decay, it's a block decay too. So both systems just naturally over time, whatever, like the higher the level, the lower the crit, the lower the block. That's just how it works. So that's assuming that if you want to block later on in higher levels, yeah, you're going to have more block. If you want to crit, you're going to have more crit. That's just how it works. But we need more gear that's going to be able to compensate for that. So that's why I'm hoping eventually they release Mirage crafted gear that gives critical, or some kind of dungeon that gives better gear, because Darkmoor was level 100. We're at level 120 now. I think we need a new dungeon that's going to give us this kind of gear. Old Cob didn't really give us like the baseline gear that we've seen from previous dungeons. We've had Waterworks, which gives really good baseline gear. We've had Tartarus, which gives good baseline gear. That's 60, 70. I mean, there are some dungeons in between that. It seems like with these dungeons that give the real baseline stat gear come from like some side additions that they add in later. Because Darkmoor was added in later. The entire Tartarus Aquila world was added in later. So we'll see what they do with Mirage. We'll see if they add just a whole new dungeon that's going to give us new gear, or maybe they add it onto Mirage, something like that. But we'll have to see, because we're waiting for that. And that's why the stats kind of seem skewed with 120 compared to 110. But the only difference there is really the critical. The damage is pretty much the same, because damage only comes from your gear. I don't even know if there's base damage for schools. No, I don't think there is. No, there's no base damage for any school. All your damage comes from your gear. So there is base health. I don't think there's not base crit either, but the critical system completely depends on your level. Damage does not depend on your level. So that's why people have been going for more damage rather than critical right now, because it just makes sense. You can't get higher crit at 120 and until they update the gear. So we're just waiting for that. But hope that kind of clears some things up for you guys with the critical system. And I'm just excited to see where they take this with the system. If they want to add in new gear, I mean, they should add in new gear that allows us to get higher critical. Or, you know, if they change it again, I don't think they would change it again because I feel like it's good. It's just the gear needs to match what the critical system decays. So I hope that kind of clears some stuff up with the critical system. Just kind of wanted to explain it and kind of compare some stats that I had from my previous 110 Storm Wizard. So I'm going to be leveling up to 120. I'm not sure if I'll do a follow-up video, but basically at 120 everything's just going to continue to decay down to whatever the 120 result is going to be for my crit. I hope that I can still have 100% critical with like 793 crit, I think. If that ever didn't happen, if I wasn't able to get 100% critical at 120, then that'd be a problem, but I think I should be able to. I mean, 793 is still a lot of crit, but to get 793, I need to use a full crit pet, which gives like, not full crit, but it gives like 3 crit, talents, and damage. So it's kind of difficult to get 100%, but if there's one school that can do it, it's Storm. So hope that clears some stuff up for you guys. Leave a like if you have enjoyed it. This is the last video of 2016, just explaining the crit system. So thank you guys for however many videos that you watched from me this year. Hope you stick around for next year, and I'll see you all next time.